Hello, welcome to Nintendo Nostalgia, episode 42. I'm your host, Jacob Russ, and I'm joined by my co-host, Ryan Black, and we are back, and we are playing with power. Ryan, dude, what is going on today?
Oh, I'm just really excited for the weekend. I've got a con this weekend. I've got a big con next weekend with Gen Con, so I'm pretty stoked.
What's a con? You messing
Convention.
with me?
A conference, convention,
Con.
I'm actually going to be playing a lot of Smash Brothers this weekend, so it's going to be pretty cool.
Okay. That does sound fun. Smash Brothers. Hope you brushed up on your... You'll probably win. You're pretty good.
I'm rusty, but it doesn't take long to wear off that rust, so...
Yeah, I get ya. What's that? Oh my gosh, it's Kevin from PSVG.
What is up, guys? See, I'm smart this time, and I did not fly out to Indiana to record the podcast this time. So I'm very excited to be here and talk with you without having to be in a hotel room this time.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, he flew out last time, and we're like, dude, like, my wife doesn't want strangers in the house, so, like, you need to go get a hotel.
Yeah, it was kind of rough, you put me out on the street, But it's all right. We worked through it. We worked through our issues, and we're back, so it's all good.
It's because, and to be fair, you were wearing a Patriots jersey, and that did not help your cause in Indianapolis, so.
Fair enough.
Cool, man. It's almost football season again. That's crazy.
Yes, it is.
I am ready. As ready as I'm going to be, put it that way. No fantasy football for me, though. I'm done with that stuff for a long time. I used to be in like 4 leagues at once, and like I have so much stuff going on in life, like I don't have time to worry about.
Nah, two's my limit. Most of the time I only do 1, and I don't do it for money. I just do it for fun, so no pressure.
Sure. I had one league that was very unique, as in my good friend, his name's La McCoon, he would do redrafts. We would get with the league like every 4 weeks. So it was all custom done. So, but here's the trick. You get to keep when you get it, you have 1 keeper. And then after you guys redraft, you release your team, but you get to have 2 keepers. And you can exchange who your keeper is going to be. And then as the season gets deeper, you keep 3 keepers. So like you can adjust your team to some who's playing the best as the season goes on. But it's tough, man, because you could kill it the first 4 weeks and then like do terrible the rest. But everyone made it to the playoffs, and I won one year, and like I was like trashed the whole season, and I won. That was pretty sweet.
Jacob, this is where you and I differ greatly. Like you're talking a foreign language to me, really you are. And like I could be talking about like Dungeons and Dragons and pen and paper RPGs, and you'd probably be in the same place right now. So,
which is odd though, because your family always hosts the Super Bowl parties every year.
I don't know anything about that fantasy stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert, but I've dabbled in here and there. I have some good news today. My cords came in. It was the day of the verdict, and my Switch is back to being 100% charged with the new cord. And my dock cable came in later on in the day as well, and it works. So now my wife is playing in the portable mode in our bedroom, watching our daughter as we record. So I got it fixed up so she could play it, I guess. Whatever. But,
happy wife, happy life.
That's exactly it. So, guys, I am about to make a big, hard decision for me. I've been trying to find ways to make more money so I can buy stuff. Because, like, this is the first time this year of getting into these communities and having a podcast where I feel like I have to keep buying stuff to stay in the loop, I guess. And like, I hate that because I do like getting things for Christmas and birthday for special occasions. But at the same time, Nintendo keeps dropping awesome stuff throughout the year, and you don't expect it. And the biggest issue is you have to go freaking pre-order it like right away, or you're not going to get one, or it's going to be a long time till you get one. So in order to make money, I have decided to sell my PV amp, which, if none of you know, I used to be in a band, a pop punk band, for 8 years. And we went on tour all over the country for about, 3 months at one point. And we had a couple different tours, a couple months here and there. But it's a sentimental piece for me because I had it for many years. I bought it. It was like the first over $1,000 purchase I saved up for when I didn't have a job, and you make you make money by mowing grass and you save it little by little. Oh, here's what happened, actually. One of the guys in the band I was with, his dad was a big supporter of the band. His dad went ahead because it was on a special deal at Guitar Center, and he bought it for me. And I went ahead and paid him back in payments. So it was kind of like a growing experience there, figure out how to make payments and stuff. So I did get it, and I just paid him directly back. But I've decided, I mean, it just sits in my basement, and I'm just like, I would love to use it again, but I'm more invested in the podcast, and I want to start making video game music, and that's all through my computer. So it's kind of like I don't need it. And I mean, I literally haven't played it since like February, maybe, and that was just for like a day or two. Just every now and then I pull it out and crank it up and play some awesome tunes. But then I realized there's no one to play with me, and then it gets boring pretty quick. So I'm thinking about selling that, which would get me. I'm not going to sell it for less than $1,000. I'll tell you that. And I have cases. I mean, there's a lot of money put into that, and it's in great condition. I mean, I take good care of my stuff, so I'm going to sell that, and then I'm going to like buy everything I freaking want. So and have leftovers. So with that said, I think we should get into some important information that was dropped today. So let's get into the news. All right, Kevin, since you're our guest, why don't you go ahead and drop some amazing news that happened this morning?
Oh, okay. All right. Let's see. The first thing that made Jacob cry a single tear down his cheek and help make his decision to sell some stuff a little bit easier, Nintendo announced today that they are releasing a special Samus edition of the new Nintendo 3DS XL.
Oh my gosh.
Be available at quote-unquote select retailers on September 15th when Metroid Samus Returns goes on sale. And if you haven't seen the pictures, hop online, check it out. It is a great-looking 3DS, I have to say. The one thing that kind of surprised me a little bit, and I know why, because they're focusing on how good this game looks in 3D, is the fact that it is another iteration of a 3DS when they just rolled out the 2DS, 2 weeks ago? So
yeah,
a little surprising, but it is a great looking console.
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, like, I typically, I don't understand why people like our buddies, like Sean Capri, for example, has like 10 3DSs, you know? Like, I don't understand why someone wants to buy the Animal Crossing. Oh my gosh, the Mario, the Pikmin, the Zelda, and the regular Blue, and then the Galaxy. I'm like, why? They're all the same thing. They do the same thing. That's so it's a waste of money. Now, I just got a new 3DS, a smaller version for Christmas last year. I got the Mario one. You know, I was my first upgrade since the original 3DS. So that was a very warranted purchase. Now, this drops, and I literally woke up to this. I woke up, my daughter woke me up, and I rolled over, looked at my phone, and then all of a sudden, I think was it you, Ryan, or was it Jesse? He sent us a message.
That was Jesse.
Jesse, we wake up, and there it is. And I'm like, oh no. This is Metroid. And like, the thing about it is it's Metroid hasn't had a praise like this in like literally like almost like 20 years. Like, I don't know if has Metroid even had a system dedicated to it, like where they made a custom?
There was a GameCube, the silver GameCube. I believe came out in correlation with Prime, Metroid Prime. But that was, but they didn't really. I mean, it wasn't anything to make it look more like Metroid versus just an exclusive color. But yeah, I believe it's the first one that they've done, like where it's branded as Metroid. Yeah.
Yeah, we need more Metroid merch, please. There's nothing out there. I want the shirt. That's it. I got this from Nintendo World. That was
we totally do. Yeah,
that's how I roll.
I like that shirt. And
it's crazy too. I almost pulled the trigger on the 2DS a couple weeks ago, the new one, because it looked really good. But I'm sitting there and I have a new 3DS XL, so I have the same one this Metroid one is. But I was thinking, like, well, you know, it is a little bit bulky. The hinge on it, they're top heavy on the new 3DS XL. Yeah. The 2DS one doesn't have that same issue where it holds up a little bit better. So I was really on the fence about doing it, but I'm like, okay, I have to trade in my console, and I still would have to pay like $30 or $40. So I was like, I'll pass. And then this drops too, and I'm like, man, I'm just gonna keep the one I have that made my decision easier. But I mean, it's got to be real confusing for consumers right now with like everything Nintendo's just throwing at you, not counting the games, just the hardware stuff.
I've got a bit of a conflict with this because I am a huge Metroid fan.
Yep.
And I want to get everything Metroid, but I don't like the XL brand. I don't like that line. It's too big for my hands. It's not comfortable. It's unattractive to me. And so when I see this, I'm like, okay, it's orange. It's got Samus on it. It's branded, but there's a part of me, it's just like, but it's an XL. I was just like saying how I had to get a new 3DS, not a new 3DS XL. And now I'm like, do I really want the system? But I wanted to collect it. But will I actually use it? And I'm just like, I'm really torn on this. And plus, I don't really have the money, so I'd have to do some
that too,
some magic tricks to get that to work out.
Now, would you pull the trigger if it was a 2DS XL? Like if it was the lighter, smaller version, but it was Metroid branded?
I think I would. I think I would at that point. Yes. The 3D isn't a big factor for me, though. No. I do think it's odd that I think it would be odd to get this game, get the Metroid game along with it because it looks so good in 3D. Just playing that demo was really cool, or the video was really cool. So seeing the
which may be why they're releasing with the XL. I mean, because they're really emphasizing on the 3D for this game. I know we talked to hey, Pikmin doesn't have a 3D function, and even the Pokemon games don't. And we felt like they're moving away. But maybe it's their last hurrah for the 3DS. But they're really talking about the 3D that you can see with this game and a bigger screen. I mean, I don't have one, but I would imagine it would look even better on a larger screen.
I love the screen size. That's the one that keeps me on the XL model because I went from the standard 3DS like you did. When I did my upgrade, though, I went to the big one because I wanted the screen size. It's just that top-heavy hinge is the only thing that annoys me with it. Size-wise, it's fine. It's just that hinge it rattles a little bit, shakes.
Yeah. Now, if I somehow say I got this new 3DS, if I traded in my 3DS that I currently have, don't I have to wait to have the new system to do a transfer of my account? I couldn't trade it in and then I don't have it anymore.
I'm pretty sure I haven't done it that way, but Donnie did recently. And he luckily he knew the GameStop manager he was trading it as, and he let him do the transfer right there. Sure. But yeah, he had to do his transfer before he left the store.
Word of warning. I did a system transfer to GameStop and I was on mall internet and it had some issues.
Good job.
So I think everything was fine after everything was said and done, but for a while that was really scary. I thought I lost everything. So
live and learn, man. Live and learn. You know what I'm saying? Like last night, I sent you on Facebook that live and learn tag. Yeah, by the way, I'm really tired because I'm still trying to get used to my new job, and I got my Mario Golden Coin cup full of coffee, healthy coffee, just lots of stevia to make it sweet, and just straight up unsweetened almond vanilla milk that has non-dairy, and it is 25 calories a cup. So it's healthy, folks. I've been getting back in shape, hitting the gym again. That's completely off topic, but if I sound silly or say silly things, that's because I'm tired. If you ever look at my Twitter, I'll seriously, I'll just start tweeting stupid stuff. I find stupid stuff funnier. Last night, Kevin, I sent you at what?
Yeah, I didn't see it till this morning. Actually, I was like, "What the heck?"
It's 2 in the morning. I sent you TT's theme song from Diddy Kong Racing because I was listening to it.
And you still say that Donnie and I sound the same, or we totally don't. You're the only person that says this. Only person.
I randomly tagged you guys in a tweet like that. Yeah. I swear I do not drink alcohol. I've never had a sip of alcohol in my life. I'm just tired, and I get silly when I'm tired. So that's some news from me, I guess. But we had another piece of news. What is that, Ryan? What's the other piece of news, man?
Oh, well, there was an update that just dropped for ARMS. And earlier in the week, there were some data miners that uncovered some new ARMS characters, or some things that pointed to the new ones. And they said there may be a plant-based one. Well, apparently in this new update that just came out just a few minutes ago even, they teased a new character. So they're definitely coming soon. I'm hoping they come in fast and it's not this long drought that we've had for DLC for this game, because I feel like maybe they were just waiting on Splatoon to get off the ground before they started doing the DLC stuff. But I'm ready to see what they do with ARMS, because I was about ready to trade it in, and then things start stirring up where it's like, oh, hey, maybe they're doing something with it. Maybe I can keep it and enjoy it. So I'm excited for it.
Does anyone even play ARMS anymore?
Not that Splatoon is out, but see that's the brilliant thing. So I bash ARMS regularly, and I'm not going to do that tonight. It's actually really smart if they do start releasing this DLC now that Splatoon is out, because that gives people a reason to come back to ARMS and want to play it some more. Yeah. The most intriguing thing that I saw, so in the list of the data mining, they listed 9 characters that are supposedly there, just not unlocked, and one of them is labeled surprise.
Oh.
So to me, that screams what ARMS probably should have been in the first place, is Punch Out, and we may see Little Mac. That's my prediction, is that Little Mac is going to be in ARMS.
I'm voting for the Tolero boxer guy. So
I think it will be Ridley.
Just boxing. Just dinosaur arms.
You know how mad people would be because he's never been put in Smash, and he just finally gets put in ARMS.
No, guys, it's Captain Falcon, and he throws like the Phoenix punches.
I could see Captain Falcon.
That could work too. That's a good call.
I could see Captain Falcon. That would
but let's be honest. They bury F-Zero worse than they bury Metroid. So that'd be a real shocker if it was Captain Falcon.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, the bright side about burying franchises is, there's no bright side to it. When Nintendo's successful, like the Switch is a hit right now, and if it continues to be a hit, Nintendo takes more risks. So, guys, if those games that we really want, that Kyle wants Wario Land games, and people want F-Zero. These games that they sell okay, but they don't sell like gangbusters. And Metroid's a prime example. If the Switch keeps selling awesome, they'll make other types of games that everybody wants.
Right. You look at the games like you need filler games no matter what. You look at the Wii U, even though it didn't do that well, had like Captain Toad, where it was a great game, but it wasn't a game that people were like, "Oh my God, it's back! It's Captain Toad." No, it's whatever. Metroid's blowing up. If Nintendo continues its success, knock on wood, they're going to have to pull out some of these titles and franchises that they've kind of pushed to the side to keep people invested. And we could see WarioWare. We could see, F-Zero come back. I wouldn't be surprised.
No, not at all. I could totally see. Say they bring back their Land franchises style of games because it's a portable system as well as a home console, and Lands are stuck to portables. They could easily bring back a new Mario Land or a new Wario Land while they're making the next mainline Mario game or whatever.
Ice Climbers.
Oh, Ice Climb. That one would be a surprise if they brought that back. But hey, Kid Icarus came back for the 3DS, so
that is true.
You never know.
Yep. And I said last week, I think there will be a brand new Earthbound, brand new, not just one of the 3. I think that they will bring that franchise back to life. So we had one more piece of news we want to talk about. Nintendo randomly announced another World Championships. And it's taking place in New York. What is it? This October? Is that what I saw?
Yeah, here's the thing. So before you dive into it too much, this is the interesting piece. This is not specifically mentioned in any of the press releases. This is coinciding with New York Comic Con, which is the nation's second largest Comic Con behind San Diego.
Yeah.
Dang.
And they're doing this at the same time. So a lot of people are predicting that we could see a big announcement as well. But
we will. I said this morning to the guys, to some people I was texting, it is going to be, I think we will get that Smash Bros. Announcement that everyone was hoping for at E3, that deluxe.
Makes sense. Yes, it makes sense.
Geez.
That makes the most sense, absolutely.
And it'll come this holiday season. That's exactly what I think. And guys, you know what? People whine about Virtual Console, and every month, someone's trying to throw an argument of why Nintendo sucks or why they shouldn't have, why the Switch is struggling or whatever. And guys, I don't care if we have Virtual Console. There is so much freaking stuff. I am selling my amp so I can buy it all. You know what I mean?
Nintendo needs to slow down. Who would have thought we would be saying that right now? They need to calm down.
It seems like every weekend I know people who are going on an amiibo frenzy or a new game frenzy or or the app downloads. And everyone's playing on that. Nintendo's in the news every weekend. They're on all cylinders right now. And as far as I can see, the Wii U was truly a blessing in disguise because if you listen to Bobby Paul's their PlayStation podcast, I don't know if if everyone's heard it yet, but they talked about Wii U games that could come back to Switch that you like to see. Honestly, Nintendo could pull from every single game from the Wii U and fill in every gap that they have while we get new content worked on to be released. Like, they're set up for the next 2 or 3 years. Honestly, they really are.
Yep, and people can't get mad. I mean, you can get mad and say, "Why are you porting everything over?" But here's the thing: if you already played it, then you don't need to get it. They're still giving enough stuff that you don't need these filler titles. But the fact that they're dropping them, that's keeping people excited and talking about Nintendo, which hasn't happened in a positive way in a long, long time.
Yeah, Bayonetta 1 and 2 has already been teased.
Yep.
Wonderful 101's already been teased.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you Donkey Kong Country will eventually be teased. Like, it was one of the better selling games on the Wii U. Why wouldn't they re-release it? Right. Mario 3D World, I don't know. Captain Toad, yeah. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's really Nintendo's in a good spot right now. So, but guys, I want to know, we were talking about games and new releases. I want to know what you've been playing. And Kevin, as our guest, I know you have been playing a game of a franchise that you are very passionate about. I want to get myself. That's why I got to sell my amp. So tell us what you've been playing, man.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing, the one you're hinting towards there is Hey Pikmin. So I'm playing that for the website. Donnie tasked me with reviewing that one. Not going to spoil anything. I will say, if you're a diehard Pikmin fan, this will scratch that itch for you while you wait for a real Pikmin game to come out, but don't expect it to be your traditional Pikmin. This is probably something closer akin to the Lemmings games, if you remember those, where like you have to get from point A to point B, get your Pikmins there with you, but the music is great, the graphics look tight, and it just, like I said, it feels like Pikmin without being Pikmin. So it's probably the best you can do on a 3DS, because if they try to do something in the scale of the Pikmin games, it's just not going to work on a handheld, and that handheld, I should say. I can totally see it on Switch, but it just doesn't work on the 3DS. But this has been a good surprise for me, because when they first announced it, I was really upset at the way it looked and how it looked. And when you watch the videos online for it, it does not translate well enough. You have to pick this game up and try it in order to get a real feel for how it is. Much like Miitopia, a lot of people, poo-pooed on that when they announced it and said, "Oh, why are they doing this?" If you played the demo, I had a ton of fun with the demo. I have the game, haven't played it yet because I'm focused on Pikmin, but a lot of people say like it's a pretty good game, but it's something that you had to try in order to get you sold on it. Other than that, things of note, I mean, that was pretty much Nintendo focused, but I did play a great game, What Remains of Edith Finch on PS4. That game, it's one of those, as people like to call them, a walking simulator. However, this one tells a great story about a family who is the most cursed family in the world, where pretty much everybody dies in these weird kind of ways. So it's not like morbid. It's not like, horror. But they all have these unfortunate things happen that cause them to pass away. And it follows the chronicles of the timeline of that family. So really interesting. $20 on your Xbox One or PS4. You can download and play it. Not on any Nintendo consoles, unfortunately, but those are the two primary things I've been playing the last week or so.
I have to say that I don't think Hey Pikmin, like, I enjoyed it, the demo, but I actually don't think the demo did it justice for how much is really there.
No, it really doesn't. There's a lot more depth to it than I expected. Playing the demo for that game, I was still on the fence, but I was like, oh, this is better than I thought. But once I actually dug into it, there's a lot more than just like go from level point A to point B. There are boss battles. There are little side things to do. I won't give it away. In between levels you can have going on. And that sweet amiibo has some pretty cool functionality in that game. In the levels, if you're in a bind, you can use it to summon more Pikmin to you. But the cooler thing I find is that in each overworld, using your amiibo, it actually unlocks these special stages where all you're doing is collecting an actual amiibo. So you'll collect the Mario amiibo or the Tom Nook amiibo. And the descriptions of these amiibo from the eyes of Olimar is pretty funny. So I won't give them away, but the descriptions he gives them, not knowing who these characters are, it's pretty awesome. So it's the best use of an amiibo I've seen in quite some time.
That actually may have just sold me wanting to pick up this game. I was on the fence. Actually, I wasn't really. It was like, oh, this is just a B game. I'm probably going to ignore it. But when first thing you said was like Lemmings. I'm like, you know what? I never thought of it like that. Mm-hmm. I might actually enjoy this. And then, like you said, the amiibo stuff. And my favorite thing about that is like you said, with the the descriptions from Olimar's eyes and stuff. That's really cool. I think I would really enjoy that just for the collection and stuff. I know that I was listening to Nintendo Dads this week, and they didn't give it like raving reviews or anything like that. Like they gave their initial opinions and stuff, and so I was like, I'll just skip it. But you might be tempting me back to try it out.
No, I haven't beaten it, and I haven't done my review officially yet. But if I were to like score it right now, it'd probably be somewhere between like an 80 to an 85, where it's not great, but I think if you're familiar with Pikmin at all, it's worth playing. If you've never played a Pikmin game, then it probably won't do anything for you. But if you have, it's nice. It feels good. It feels like a great game. And for the sake of Jacob, the only description I remember for an amiibo is when you get the Diddy Kong one, because of the Diddy Kong amiibo, he's sitting on a barrel. Olimar describes it and just it's called the Barrel of Laughs. And then he has like a paragraph description of how he describes that amiibo. So, but it's funny. It's fun just to read those and how he describes the character and stuff. So it's a nice little extra for Nintendo fans in that.
Oh yeah, I even saw a hint. I mean, this is a spoiler. I want to say it, so
I know what you're gonna say.
Skip it. I saw it online, but skip this if you don't want to hear it. There is the Donkey Kong Land 2 cartridges in the game, and it really makes my heart smile because it shows the description. Like I don't know what it said word for word, but
enduring friendship was what he calls it.
Yes, and basically, they talk about that. Basically, they acknowledge Rare and the friendship that they had with them, and that I think that they still admire them. I think it shows that they haven't forgotten about their past with Rare, and that makes me really happy. And again, we all know Microsoft owns Rare, but you never know. I mean, crazier stuff has happened. No one ever thought Rare would be sold to Microsoft in the first place. Who knows? I mean, this is off topic, but I really could see one day Microsoft and Nintendo working together to share Rare material. I mean, I really could, because Nintendo is being friendly with Microsoft and this cross-play stuff, and who knows where it could go from there. I mean, we may have a WoW. Phil Spencer said he wants Banjo-Kazooie in Smash Bros. One day. I totally could see, like, that's what the cool part about Phil Spencer. I hate Xbox, but I really admire Phil Spencer. He has my respect, and because I truly believe he just wants best for all gaming, and that's for every system.
I agree.
Not Sony being, stuck up little on top of the mountain type of people. So, Ryan, dude, have you been playing anything besides Splatoon 2?
I have. I did a lot of Splatoon 2, a lot of it, but I did sit down today and there was a sale on SwapFire. So I picked it up. It was a sale for like 99 cents. It might still be going on right now.
Yes. So, no, it ended the other day, but I'm so glad you're playing it. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I picked it up. I am enjoying the idea of it. Like it's way more in depth than I expected. At first I was like, okay, I get the basic concept, but I don't know anything. I actually backed the Kickstarter for the second one, the season 2, not knowing what the game was or anything. I was like, this sounds like a cool idea. I have no idea how it's implemented, but so I got to experience it today. My big thing is the controls. You couldn't reverse. You can do the inverse and stuff. So that still is bugging me. I did the one-player stuff, the training stuff, and I went into the multiplayer thing, and I had no idea what I was doing. Honestly, I need someone to tell me what the heck's going on, because I was trapped in a box and I couldn't move, and people were scoring. I was getting nothing. So I'm like, well, I really need to figure out how this works.
I can send you some videos. They've posted recently some Jeremy Alessi and the guys from SwapFire. They posted some videos on best tips and practices for SwapFire, because they understand that in the first one it didn't really do a good job of explaining it. So it's out there, but you do have to dig for it a little bit.
Okay.
And it's very GoldenEye vibe, right? Like it's very GoldenEye inspired, and that's what they set out to do. And that's the promising thing about it, is we don't have GoldenEye anymore right now, and we don't know if we ever will. But these guys are doing the best thing they can to try to recreate that for modern systems, and that, to me, that's amazing. And it definitely warrants a pickup if you haven't picked it up yet. Besides that, I have been playing Donkey Kong Country 2. Yeah, I didn't get to Land 2 this week. I'm trying to play them together. You got people like Kyle Martin thinks I'm insane because I replay old games over and over again, the same games. Like I beat Donkey Kong Country 2 last year for the first time ever, and I'm replaying it again on my 3DS now. And if it was coming to the SNES Classic, I'd replay it then there too. But yeah, I'm just playing through it. I was just stuck to my 3DS since my Switch was out of commission last week, but that's back up and running. So I did play a little bit of Splatoon 2. My batteries had like 17% juice left, so I played until it died. And I was on team catch up, and we actually won every single match I was in, so that was cool. But besides that, that's all I've been playing. Not much else. Busy with that new job starting up and the gym life. But, well, guys, I think that's enough talk of what we've been playing. I think we really need to get into the meat of the show, and that's exactly why Kevin is on. Ironically, Kevin's into Hey Pikmin, but Kevin, one of his most favorite franchises of all time is Pikmin, and we are now going to be talking about not all of them, the very first, the original, the OG Pikmin.
Pikmin was released on December 2nd, 2001. Jacob, what was your first experience with hearing about this game?
Hearing about Pikmin?
Yes.
Honestly, I didn't know what it was. I actually didn't play Pikmin until the GameCube days were even over. I mean, I had seen Traven. Traven had Pikmin, and and Traven he had moved to the west side of Indianapolis, so I didn't get to play it that much, except for when I would go over there only occasionally, and that was before we kind of lost communication for a couple of years. Back then when phone calls were long distance across the city that you lived in. How times have changed, right? But I had only seen it vaguely. I never played much of it, and I didn't know anybody else at the time who had Pikmin. So I really dived into it in the Wii days because I borrowed it from Brad Hunzinger. I wanted to just play Pikmin, and I did borrow it for the GameCube, the original one. I beat it that way. But then I saw that they had Pikmin 2 come up for like the classics for the Wii. So I bought it that way. And then I ended up buying the original Pikmin on the Wii as well. So that was my exposure to Pikmin. Again, I remember seeing it on the GameCube art. It was a highly advertised game for the GameCube. Came out launch year, guys. That was basically a launch window. That was the holiday game for Nintendo that year. And, fun fact, like when the GameCube was coming out, I believe it was at E3 that some crazy person who won like their first GameCube before it was released, they dressed up as a Pikmin and like ate worms at E3.
Oh, that's right.
So they could win, and that won the contest. Like you had to do something outlandish and crazy cosplay like, and they did. They made themselves look like a Pikmin and ate worms right there, and they got a GameCube before anybody else. So that's all I know had originally when it first came out. I know a lot more about Pikmin today, but back then that was my only exposure. What about you, man?
I heard about it. I was really hyped for it because I heard that Miyamoto's working on a new project, and I remember hearing some things about him like working in his backyard, and like he's working on his new baby, and I was like, oh, I gotta know what this is. I gotta know. And when they announced it, I was like, that's really cool. It's very creative. I want to play it to see if I like it. And so when it came out, I rented it. I didn't buy it, and I played it just a little bit, and I just didn't have the patience. Just like I didn't have the patience for Majora's Mask, I didn't have the patience for Pikmin because of the time limit. And I was like, this is impossible. How can you ever do this? I get so frustrated. And so like I had only rented it, so I'm glad I didn't buy it at the time. And so I took it back to the rental place. And I'm like, you know what? I'll get it. I'll get the next game when it comes out and really enjoy that. So that was kind of my first experience with Pikmin. I did enjoy the idea, but I didn't like the time limit. In fact, I felt like it was impossible for me to do that. So that's my first experiences. So we brought you on the show because you have a passion for Pikmin. So take it away.
Oh, so because I'm the old man of the group here, I was actually, ironically enough, working for a video game website back in 2001 during E3. Site's been defunct long now, but it was GameCube Advanced. It was a whole network of different websites.
That's awesome.
And I was a writer that worked on the GBA, Game Boy Advance, and the GameCube as it was being announced and launched. So I was actually writing during its initial reveal at E3 2001. So I saw this and was like, wow, this game is really different from anything else I'd seen prior. So I was kind of hooked, and I kind of followed it throughout its development until its actual release with a close lens on it, if you will, to really get the grip on it. Had gotten it day one just because I was interested in it, and my wife actually gravitated towards it better than I did at first. Much like you, Ryan, I was a little frustrated by the time constraints of the days, and you only have 30 days to complete the original game. And it kind of turned me off until my wife beat it. And then I was like, oh, yeah, well, I'll show you. I can beat this game too. And after giving it more time, I grew to really love the look, the feel, the way this game just moved. I love the fact you brought up Miyamoto's story, because this game was his first real pet project after he turned 40. He quit smoking. He had a semi-gambling issue, which is funny because we always hear about how happy-go-lucky and how squeaky clean this guy is, but he had a little bit of a pachinko addiction there. He had quit all that stuff up and took up gardening, as you mentioned. And one day while gardening, he had just seen a line of ants marching across. And he kind of watched how they were going, and that there was a leader kind of organizing all these ants. And the way his mind works, basically, he was like, well, they always have a leader. They're carrying stuff. They kind of have a rail, like a straight line they're forwarding. And he started thinking about, like, well, what if these were little people? And that kind of evolved into different things and eventually became Pikmin as we know it. But it was just funny that he can take something just as simple as gardening and then develop it into a game. Kind of a little fact there, too, is that if you guys recall when the GameCube, and you might have been too young, but when the GameCube was first announced, they showed a tech demo featuring 128 Marios on screen at the same time. That eventually became Pikmin because all those Marios you replaced with Pikmin. So that was actually kind of a test. You know, Miyamoto was already working on Pikmin, the idea, but that was kind of the glimpse at what could be when the GameCube actually launched. And this was sneak previewed, you know, a couple of years prior. So it's pretty cool inspiration. It's been a very interesting title while not getting huge, massive success like, you know, your Zeldas and Marios, but it's become a great second tier game for Nintendo with a good history and a very creative approach to it.
Yeah, Ryan told me about Mario 128, I believe it was called.
Yep.
Because Ryan had Nintendo Power at the time, I believe, and I did not. I still had not. And I remember Ryan taking it to our old church, actually, and we were standing in the aisleway just out in the open area outside the sanctuary, and we were just looking at this Nintendo magazine. I remember just seeing, like, the interview with people and just footages of it. And this was like supposed to be like the next Mario 64, you know, the sequel is going to be the big Mario game. And my mind was blown away. It was really cool, but you're right. It evolved. They scrapped the Mario idea and it evolved into become Pikmin, which, you know, a lot of Nintendo's IPs, maybe not a lot, but there are some that they start off as a Mario game and they're like, well, let's try a little something different. That's what Splatoon was. Splatoon started off originally as going to be a Mario type game. I think it had a lot of inspiration from Mario Sunshine, from all the messes and stuff. But then it spun off into becoming its own entire thing separately. Yeah, it just takes me back, man. I mean, Kevin, you were probably what we are today back then. You know, when the GameCube came out, I was 2001. I was in the 4th grade.
Yeah, I was, let's see, 2001, I would have been a sophomore in college. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just maybe slightly younger than what I am today, but still, I mean, I was in 4th grade and Ryan was 6th or 7th grade there. So, man, it's insane just how time flies. It really is, because now we have 4 Pikmin games done, and technically we have Pikmin 4 done probably. We just don't know it yet, and we know it's coming. But, guys, let's talk about Pikmin. Why is it unique? it clearly was different from anything Nintendo had ever done. I guess the biggest thing about the first game was the time limit. I think there was always the stress factor with every level. Like, you've got to get back. It wasn't just you got to get back before the day ends or your crew will be murdered. You had to beat the game in 30 days or you're screwed or you're dead, So I liked that. And yeah, that's stressful. And I kind of wish that they would bring it back. Who knows? Maybe they will.
All right. Well, so the story, let's go back to the story of what Pikmin is. So in Pikmin, your main protagonist is Captain Olimar. He basically crash lands on quote unquote Earth, but they don't call it Earth. And he realizes that the atmosphere of this planet contains high level of oxygen that actually is super deadly to his people. So that's why he can only stay for 30 days before his life support system stops functioning. So because the ship crashed, he needs to reassemble a ship in order to get off this planet. And while he's looking for the pieces, he stumbles across the first of 3 colored Pikmin in the original title, the red Pikmin. So in your original title, you have 3 colors. You have red, yellow, and blue. Each color has a unique quirk to them, if you will. So all 3 can do your basic things, such as fight enemies, pick up your objects, bring them back to your ship, bring back seeds to grow more Pikmin if you need a bigger army of Pikmin. But the red are immune to fire. And they're actually the best fighters. They're the strongest ones against enemies. Your yellow Pikmin can be thrown higher and farther. And they're also, in this title, the only ones that can pick up bombs. That changes later. And then your blue ones are able to go in water. So they don't drown, unlike your other Pikmin. How if they get wet or fall in the water, they die within a couple seconds. But that's basically the premise is you're trying to get all the pieces of your ship back, at least enough to take off again. There are multiple endings in this game that if you don't collect every piece, you get a different ending. But basically, you need to get enough pieces within the 30-day period to get off and start trying to fly back home. But yeah, the stress factor that you mentioned where, if you don't have everybody back to your pod by the end of the day, they're going to get murdered. That was a big deal in that game. The stress level you had, you're like, well, I can get this one last piece back to my ship before time's up. And you're scrambling back. And the next thing you know, it blows that whistle for the end of the day. And you're like, crap, I just lost, 30 Pikmin just died.
Yeah.
And you almost feel bad, which is weird because it's just these little things, but they're so cute that you're like,
right.
If they get mass murdered, you're just like, oh man, that sucks. You feel a little bit bad. And the game tracks how many Pikmin die, right, by the way, throughout the progress too. So to make you feel even worse about it.
Well, it really can set you back. I mean, you could have a good stockpile, a good army built up, and then, let's face it, we all had those times where we went into a big battle. We knew we were going to fight like the big boss of this area, and you're going in there and it's going to be a slaughter fest, but you're going to try to take them out, and it's hard, and it's sad, like you said, it's sad, and when they die, you see their little spirits,
yeah, and the noise they make,
yeah. Oh, I felt terrible. When they're only the blue can go in the water. So if you have a yellow or a red, they'll start drowning. And
yep.
And it's so heartbreaking when you're blowing your whistle, woo, 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 and they're struggling to get out of this inch of water and they die.
And the whole time you're screaming you blew Pikmin, help him! Why are you just standing? There's one red one, just pick him up, just give him a push, something. But it's awful.
You got mad at the Pikmin too because I'm you're stupid.
Yes.
If you blow your whistle and then all of a sudden the red ones drop what they're doing, you weren't trying to blow them over and they just come right over and then they fall in the water or they get electrocuted because they walk into the electric current. The game was really neat because you had to be in multiple places all at once. So in Pikmin 3, they did a good job with the gamepad. You could maneuver 3 different areas doing 3 different things all at one time. And this game, you couldn't really do that, but you because you just had Olimar and you didn't have the second screen to look around everywhere. But you would have to basically drop off your Pikmin to go work on this area over here, and then you can take another group of Pikmin, split them up. We're going over here, all on good faith that my Pikmin that I just left at Side A are not getting killed by a giant, mushroom bulborb thing, and or some other creature. Ryan, obviously you got back into it. You like it today. You said you didn't really care for it as much, but what did you end up liking about it that makes Makes it fun.
That makes it a little morbid, but I really enjoy when the Pikmin die and the
Oh my
sound.
gosh.
Oh, you evil.
I just
Nintendo Style does not endorse the death of Pikmin.
it's so adorably cute in how they die. It's just like I find some enjoyment in that, and like I feel sad for them, but at the same time I'm like, oh, that just happened.
Wow. I
don't
mean,
know. And I guess because they're replaceable and you can like grow more, like it's not as big of a deal for me. Whereas like in something like a Fire Emblem game, I lose a character, I get really upset because they're gone forever. So
Now
these
how-
have individual personalities. I mean, not necessarily. So like I guess they're a little bit more expendable, like more like just little like mindless like troops and ants or something.
So wait, you didn't name all your Pikmin individually?
No.
That's just me. Oh, all right, carry on.
Yeah.
Never mind.
You were a little obsessed, yes.
I did like growing, propagating them and pulling them out of the ground and what have you. I enjoyed that element, and I really loved and was captivated by this nature aspect. And I had there's a sense of wonder. Like they haven't straight up come out and said that it's Earth, and you haven't really run into humans that I know of. So it's just like you see like, oh, this could, for all we know, this could be a post-apocalyptic world,
Right.
of Earth, and they're just seeing like remnants and like trash laying about on the ground or something. It's like worth a lot of money to them.
So
like,
actually, so funny. Since you say that, I'll bring up some of the little known stuff. So there's an item in the first game. It's basically a Geiger counter, but since Olimar doesn't know what these things are, he says, it knows it's going off constantly. The needle, it's always moving. Since Geiger counters, if you're not familiar, they measure radiation. It seems like quite possibly Pikmin takes place in an entire post-apocalyptic Earth because they're not affected by it. He's not familiar with what this is. He's not from this planet. That could be the thing. And then also the second thing, if you look at the map from the original 2 Pikmin and you turn it upside down, the continents appear to be Earth inverted upside down. Really? Yep. And they eventually, the first 3 games, I don't know about this Hey Pikmin. To me, it doesn't seem like it's the same planet. It's the same planet in Pikmin 1, 2, and 3, and they eventually, by the end of the third one, call it PNF 404, which stands for the 404 error when you're on the internet and they can't find a web page. And PNF is planet not found. So it's a little inside joke there.
That is cool.
Yeah.
I like that. I think that's really interesting in that if it is truly a post-apocalyptic Earth, I would love to see them like expand Pikmin to a broader picture. You know what I mean? Like my one issue that I have, I guess, with Pikmin is that it doesn't have a bigger story. I mean, like there's not really a key bad guy. I mean, they're there to collect things, to save his life, and then to make money for his company, and then the third one is another company that came there and, spoilers, runs into, Olimar. And I just feel like that they could really do more. There's no key villain. A lot of Nintendo franchises has a villain. There is no villain here besides the creatures that inhabit the Earth that you got to defend yourself from. Which
they're really not enemies. It's just circle of life on that planet where they eat Pikmin and you happen to be the same size as Pikmin. But no, you're right. There really isn't an overarching story. Almost every single game of Pikmin, well, yes, there's similar tones and there might be one little detail that carries over from game to game. But overall, you're right, there's not a major story.
So, I guess that begs the question, where do you want to see Pikmin go? I really like this idea of there's a potential. I mean, it's rumored that Pikmin 4 actually is a whole reboot to the whole series. Like they're starting over. They're not continuing from Pikmin 3, which, I mean, I'm not a big fan of having reboots, but and honestly, I would like for them to continue. But what would you like to see them? Where would you like to see them take Pikmin? Do you want them to stick to the formula and change the story up, or do you want to see a drastic change to the main formula?
I'm kind of with you. I think they can keep it, but add a better story. Maybe do something where you have competitive companies actively searching out for stuff. One of the best things in Pikmin 3 was the multiplayer stuff.
Yeah.
The DLC you could buy for that game, I think it was like the first DLC I ever bought for Nintendo. It was like the first DLC Nintendo ever did was like Pikmin 3. And it was good stuff. I mean, playing like the bingo boards against my wife was fun, and the treasure hunting and the boss battles. Like, we spent so many hours playing that. And even once you hit Pikmin 2 and you're actually able to play with 2 players, we spent a lot of time doing that. So if they made it more of a competitive or versus type thing with online battles and stuff like that, it could be pretty cool. But I think the biggest thing it does need is it does need some sort of story. You're right. It needs something a little more.
I think you touched on it, and I had come to me too, with the competing companies like trying to get money, and basically this is a gold mine, so why not have Gold Rush and have a bunch of companies go there and try to take it over, and or try to take all the loot that they can. That makes perfect sense. One thing that I hope that they keep, that they excluded from the third one, was the finding the items of like just random items, like things that you find commonplace laying on the ground.
Yes, because all the fruit
and the funny descriptions of them. The fruit were okay, and they did have some funny descriptions, but it didn't capture me. Like, I didn't want to collect those as much as I wanted to collect like just the random odds and ends junk things, and see like a shoe polish or whatever.
No, you're right, and that's back in Hey Pikmin. So that's a good point. But so something that just occurred to me, you're talking about this. So competing companies. Here's your solution for the story, and now the villain. There's one company that's actually enslaving Pikmin against their will.
Oh.
So Olimar comes down to defend his friends that help save him time and time again, and it's Olimar versus this evil company, and you can put another explorer as like the main antagonist. Something.
I could see that. I like that. I do like that. I wonder, what if we we just talked about Ryan, how he likes to murder Pikmin, and how to him they're just little pawns. Which, I won't lie, I don't like ants. I hate ants, and if I see ants, they really enrage me. So I'll get a bottle of soap and kill those suckers all day long. Now, Pikmin, on the other hand, I don't hate them. I like them. What if they took the point of view of a Pikmin and gave him a personality, and they allowed you to get connected to the Pikmin, and then they show what it's like for the Pikmin to see, like, Timmy, Jim, John, they all died today in battle, got eaten by a Bulborb. Am I saying that name right, by the way? Bulborb?
Bulborb.
Yeah. Bulborb, yeah.
Bulborb. Like, that would be really interesting if they, instead of taking the focus off of Olimar, and really you get a character out of the Pikmin. I could see that. Yeah. I would like that.
It'd be almost like the Minions movie versus, version of a video game.
Yeah.
Where, like, you have all the different minions, and here's Bob the Pikmin and his adventure,
Right, absolutely, and it'd give you a new vantage point of what it's like. I think that would be really phenomenal. But no, Pikmin. Some key things I wanted to point out. You guys said it earlier how Pikmin 3 looked really good, but this is one of the most beautiful games I think Nintendo ever makes.
Yes,
even on the GameCube and the Wii, it looks so good. It makes you appreciate nature, put it that way. And I wish we'd get more games like it. There were times on the Wii U, I couldn't tell if I was looking at a real scenery of the world at times. Like the water.
Water is amazing.
Gosh, can you get more realistic than that? No, I think that the nature of the game, the gameplay, it was unique. All that's missing is a better story. Story's okay, but anything else that you would correct from it, Ryan, since you were such a tough critic on the game besides murdering creatures?
Well, what I would critique on the game, I think they fixed when they went to the second one, like they took out the time limit, which was a major drawback for me. I liked you had underground more often in the second one. Like, I liked basically everything that the second one did to evolve the series, and so I think to say that what I would change in that is just play Pikmin 2, honestly, because that also had some multiplayer options as well, and so like they really fleshed it out and made it a grander adventure, and they took away the time limit, so you could go at your own pace, and it was a lot more peaceful, so you could actually enjoy nature in some ways. So
they added, I mean, I know we're talking about the first Pikmin game, but I mean, something cool that they do is that they add a new style of Pikmin almost every game. What I didn't like about Pikmin 2, though, was like what you had, the white poisonous one, and you had the purple fat one. I believe those were the two you got. Yep. I didn't like that you had to transform your current Pikmin into those. Like they should have been their own entire species, just like that you could just pick up and rejuvenate that way. They corrected that, I think, in Pikmin 3. I know, like, the rock Pikmin and the flying Pikmin were their own separate, just like the red, yellow, and blue. Adding new Pikmin with new abilities really is unique to the game and helps it move along.
Really, they fixed that with the new onions. They didn't have the purple and the white ones didn't have their own onions. I believe they shared onions with the others. So that was something that I don't know if that was just a limitation or they just wanted to keep that mechanic in there. But I see what you're saying, though. Like, that was kind of annoying to have to use the flowers to change them and what have you.
Well, yeah, because you have to sacrifice members of your team. Like, if I really want, I don't know, if say you had to make compromises to get more white and purple when you may not really have wanted to. It put you in some binds, I guess. Mm-hmm. Because they all have, as good as they are for their abilities, they also have weaknesses, and you can get stuck up a hole if you have a bunch of purple that you had to transform and you really need those red Pikmin now, but you don't, you know what I mean? So, and that's something that I think they've improved upon. But even in future Pikmin iterations, I would love to see different types of Pikmin added to the mix.
Not really any critiques, but the first one compared to the others in the series was really hard. Like really hard compared to the others. Like it was very tough to beat that game. It was definitely a struggle. And they did make it easier in the future iterations with some of the improvements they made. But the crazy thing is that as hard as this first one was, it actually was initially harder. And after playing it in test markets, they actually dumbed it down a little bit before we got what became Pikmin 1. Initially, some of the Pikmin had like their own AI. So they would go off sometimes and some wouldn't listen to Olimar. Like you tell them to go get something and they go run off and do something else. Or they wouldn't listen to you when you call them. And they actually toyed with the idea of having like experience level. So like, for instance, like we talked about Fire Emblem earlier, how you play a certain character where they get more stronger. They were doing that same thing with Pikmin, eventually threw all that out saying, this is way too hard. You'll have this favorite Pikmin that's super strong and he dies once and you're screwed. So they kind of revamped that and kind of made them all equal. And they did eventually, they have the leaf to the bulb to the flower level of evolution to make them stronger, but they didn't go any farther than that. But yeah, I mean, the real thing is like the first one was so hard, it did turn off, I think, a lot of people from enjoying the series, maybe didn't give the other ones a shot, but they definitely made it more user-friendly in the further ones without making it too easy, of course. But
would you say Hey Pikmin is, I know you said for like maybe adults, it's maybe ranged from like an 80 to, a 90 or whatever. But for kids, is Hey Pikmin a great game for kids to be like, oh, this is neat, and maybe visit other games?
I think so. Yeah. The only thing is though, if this is going to be your first entry into a Pikmin game for a younger kid to then say, I want to go play Pikmin 3, that's going to be a wake-up call because it operates just totally different. But it is, I think, easy enough that most people can pick up and play. You don't use anything other than the circle pad and the stylus. So there's no buttons to remember. It's not you're going to push the wrong thing. It's very easy to use and operate. So I'd say, yeah, if you're probably 8 or older, I think you can give this game a whirl. It's not terribly hard so far, at least. I haven't hit like a wall yet.
That makes me think that Pikmin would be a great mobile game to have one day as well.
This iteration of Pikmin with Hey Pikmin, yeah, absolutely. I could totally see it as a mobile game.
Oh, totally. Absolutely.
I wanted to pose this question. I saved it from where we wanted to see this series evolve. So everybody's thinking, well, what happens if you give it the Breath of the Wild treatment? So what let me ask this, what if you could go anywhere if you had enough Pikmin to build a bridge to go there? Or you had enough to climb walls? Or they had an ice Pikmin that when they touched each other, they'd fuse together and you could create structures out of that and get to different things. Like, what would that do for you? Like in a Pikmin world, like that huge scale?
That would be insane. I would freaking love that. My wife would play it. I would never get to play my Switch again. That would be the end of it. I'd have to go out and buy another Switch. I'd have to find one and she would be playing it because, oh man, that's a good idea. Wow, an open world Pikmin, like even open world. It's like, man,
wow. I think that would be
something.
Again, that's the new direction. Take Pikmin and this, just add on to what you've been doing. That's a great idea, Ryan. Wow, you should go work for Nintendo or something.
Pikmin's all about the barriers and getting around the barriers.
Yeah.
But what if like you could climb over those barriers and explore what's beyond that and beyond the walls? That's something that I've always asked. And I thought, well, Breath of the Wild is kind of a shot in that direction. So what happens with this series with that? So something to think about.
That would be a massive world because the levels are already huge for Pikmin. But like, oh my gosh, they're so little. Like,
yeah.
Okay, look how big Link's a normal sized human or Hylian, whatever, and he travels across that big world. I couldn't imagine an open world game for Pikmin would be like my front yard, I guess, Yeah. I don't know. That's a clever idea, Ryan. I like that. Well, Kevin, I do want to give you a chance to shine in the spotlight. I'm sure everyone knows you are. You're pretty famous, and we need to kick you off because you charge us about $100 every 10 minutes. So
there goes your amp money.
Yes, thanks a lot, Ryan. Why'd you call this guy on? All right, so let's go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you, man.
All right. Well, if you don't already know, I can be found on playsomevideogames.com or PSVG, the official podcast. We're on iTunes, Google Play, the whole nine. Check us out. And if you do listen, which I think we do have a big crossover audience here due to the friendships we've all made in this environment.
Yeah.
Thank you all for listening. We really appreciate it. But yeah, playsomevideogames.com. Nice and easy to find me. Going through a restructure right now, refocusing, if you will, before we hit our 100th episode on the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for some big megaton announcements to steal Nintendo's phrasing.
Oh, yes. They can afford that because they charge a lot to guest on other shows. So, Ryan, why don't you do our due diligence for everybody?
Sure thing, man. You can find us on dayspace.com, iTunes, and Google Play. You can join us on Facebook at facebook.com/NintendoNOS. Find us on our Twitter at Nintendo_NOS. If you want to shoot us an email, NintendoNostalgiaIN@gmail.com. And we're also on Instagram now. You can find us at NintendoNOSIN.
Everybody, I want you to know you can find me on Twitter as well at NosJacob73. And my Switch is back in working order. So everybody run and hide because the Splatoon Master is back. You're on trouble. You're on trouble now. So you can find me on there too. And guys, I wanna personally. Ryan commented this today, actually on social media, but thank you guys who are participating in the community. And we know we have silent listeners, and because I have shows, that I think about it. I have shows that I listen to, but I'm not really like physically active out in the community, but I listen to the show every week. And guys, we want you to know that we encourage you to comment and talk. And if anything, please go rate our show, 5 stars and write a comment on iTunes because it really helps us grow and helps others be able to find us. And again, the bigger this community grows, the easier it will be for people to find us, and the more Ryan and I are going to be able to do for you guys. So, but everybody, thank you so much. That is the episode for the week, and we will be back playing with power again next week. We'll catch you later.
Woo! Later.
Wait, Kevin, you have to end the episode off with your best Pikmin impression.
Oh, geez. Oh, man. All right. Let's see. Let me try to pull them out. You pull them out, so you put them on the ground like, look at me.
That's pretty good. I like that. I'll do mine.
Oh, there you go. That was good.
And Ryan, just say they don't need to hear because you sound like a Pikmin already. Bye.